Whoa, jingle! Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun. Yeah!
And do I look different? Do I look different today?
Yes, Jenny, you have an awesome guitar photograph, electric guitar. Jenny, you look so freaking cool.
That's right, Ann. I do look cool. And if I look different, it's because I'm in a different place. That's right. I am not in Michigan. I am visiting with my new granddaughter in Colorado, and so I am at an Airbnb. I know it's nice, and you can tell it's an Airbnb. It's like, so how do you say I'm staying at an Airbnb without saying, hey, I'm staying at an Airbnb? Well, for instance, you have a three-panel set of pictures of whatever in the background, and of course, you have the obligatory bowl of balls. There they are. That's how you know you're staying at a Airbnb, because of balls.
Look, who else would put that in their house? I'm like, hey, we need
Nothing. Honest to God, and the thing is, there are people that put these in their house, and so somebody's going to have to explain to me the purpose of the basket of or bowl of balls. I'm like,
Yeah,
really? You couldn't think of anything else that you might want to decorate your home with? And and if you have a house full of balls, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to teach me and make me understand why this is a thing.
yeah.
Of course, then again, anyway. So anyway,
Yeah.
yes, Airbnb, yeah.
It's like trying to have character without actually having any character.
Yeah, whoever designed the stuff in this Airbnb definitely took the course on how to design your stuff for an Airbnb. When we were trying to kind of maybe turn our house into an Airbnb, all I did was look at pictures of Airbnb and they all looked the same. I'm like, I tried that, it did not work.
Well, Jenny, you
Like,
didn't have the sweet guitar picture thing. That's why.
I did find a three-panel picture though of whatever,
Uh-huh.
and but I didn't have any balls, and I didn't have any baskets of balls to put in, and I didn't want to buy any baskets of balls. I was thinking of maybe just getting a bowl from the kitchen and then like wadding up paper balls and putting it in there, but I didn't do that. So
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
cool like that. So
Exactly.
anyway, so yeah, it's been a busy week. I'm actually really tired because I haven't quite gotten done being Thursday was the longest day of my life. And I was telling my friend Kelsey that the best I can hope for is that this day will be murder. And it was. And it was great.
Well, that's what happens when you work all day and then you got to take 3 different planes to get someplace.
Well, technically, Anne, it was only was it three? No, it was only two planes, but I had three stops. So
Yeah.
I can't even believe it. I don't even know how it happened, but I have a direct flight on the way home. I know, right?
To
I
Kalamazoo?
know. Listen, Grand Rapids. I had to fly out of
Oh.
Grand Rapids because I had points with Southwest, so I got to fly out of Grand Rapids for basically free. But
Mhm.
touchdown and change planes in Chicago, and then touchdown, but didn't change planes in Omaha, and then touchdown for good in Denver. So it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Wow. Damn. Oh, man. And then you're not even like
And
flying that long.
no, no, just enough, like, for like Omaha. Well, because we got snacks from Chicago to Omaha, and we got snacks again from Omaha to Denver. So, and that was fine because
Mhm.
they're having, and Southwest serves what I call pretzelettes because they're not whole. They're pretzels, and they're like this big. So you're like digging through your bag to get your 14 pretzelettes.
Oh man, flying is so wonderful. Torture class.
It really is, yeah, yeah, and of course, because I'm poor or lower middle class, I sit in torture class because that's all I can afford. And I got to tell you, and for the most part, it really was not a problem because people were fine, everybody was fine. We were all just trying to get there. It's just and I would say Grand Rapids' airport is actually really nice. It's the first time I've flown out of the Gerald R. Ford Airport. Lovely, not super crowded. It was nice. And then you step off of that into the sea that is Midway. And I love Midway. It's the dumpy little third world country compared to O'Hare. But I love it because it's smaller.
Mhm.
There's no taxiing involved. Like when you fly into O'Hare, you taxi for an hour.
Mhm.
And yeah, you just drop in. They come screeching to a halt in Midway. You turn, and you're at the terminal. Done.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great because it's like
So
you're surrounded by downtown, so you're practically helicoptering on a plane.
pretty much. And it was cool because we flew. When you fly into Midway from like Kalamazoo or Grand Rapids, you fly right over downtown Chicago, and the view is pretty fucking awesome. So that was really cool. So that was the
Excellent.
highlight of the flight and the pretzelettes. So there you
And the
go.
pretzelettes. Thank you, pretzelettes.
Yes. Yeah, delicious, delicious. How are
Mhm.
you, Ann Brothers?
I'm good. There's a shield bug crawling up the blind, and I have to squish it. So sorry, I had to stop. If you're a fan of shield bugs, which I am not, I'm sorry that
I consider shield bugs to be bugs that are assholes. Shield bugs are
Mhm.
assholes. So,
Shield bugs are
shield bugs and mosquitoes are assholes. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
yeah. So I'm sorry.
anyway,
Yeah, good. It's like I did not fly anywhere this week. I'm trying to think of any exciting. Okay, so there was a stray cat hanging around our neighborhood area, our area, for probably 6 months. This yellow stray cat that was he looked rough. And one day he ends up in my driveway, and I was like, fine. So I get this can of food out. I feed him the food. He's really shy. He won't come to me. I set it down in the driveway. He goes and hides. Anyway, we played. So he would come back every week or so. This went on for another month. I kept thinking he was probably dead because he looked rough. So Wednesday, last week, he comes into the backyard. I feed him, and then he meows at me, which is like, oh, okay. And then the next day, when Duncan sees him, Duncan feeds him, and then he lets Duncan pet him.
uh-oh.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, this cat loves us and, he can't get enough of us. And so we're feeding him, all this food and he loves to be brushed and he's super nuzzly. He's got nuts the size of walnuts, so this is what's gotten him a big gash on his ear. The guy looks like shit. So we called him Bradley. That's what I called him. And so we had Bradley. He would like hang out in our breezeway and wouldn't bother the chickens, seemed to like other cats, loved to be pet, wicked claws. He wasn't like scratching us or anything, but I watched him demolish some wood stuff. Anyway, we got him into the Humane Society yesterday and they took him in. So he's in his quarantine. So hopefully he'll get adopted. I think he's going to be a dick, but he's such a lovey kitty. He's going to end up being the big fat lap cat. So anyway, he was so.
We have two of those that we're feeding. We have Oliver, our black kitty, who's exactly the same, and we have Frank the Tank, who is a dick, and I love Frank the Tank. So same thing. I have to get them captured so that we can do the same thing and take them because they're both males and they both have giant balls and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I took him in. She's like, "Are you sure he's a male?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's a boy."
You're like, take a look. What do you think?
Yeah, I was like, the
sure
guy
he's a
was.
male.
Yeah, it's like he was skinny as can be, but with these giant. I was like, well, I guess these
Either
don't
that or
lose
he's smuggling two softballs in his backside. So
exactly. But anyway, so we got him he was so good. He didn't poop or pee in the carrying cage. He meowed a little bit, scratched a little bit, and then settled down. He was like, he's gonna make somebody a really nice cat. I was like, he was so cute.
Bradley. So there you go. That's good. That's awesome. Good for you and and yeah, it's amazing how fast they'll take to you once you start feeding them. Because Frank the Tank and Ollie are the same way. So in fact, I would say both of them have. They're like, "Hey, can we come in? We'd love to hang out here." So
yeah, that's how Bradley was. Bradley's like, I don't mind other cats. I have all the fleas and ticks in the world, but hey, I'll share them.
So many fleas. You're like,
I got worms for everybody. So yeah, he was a mess. But generally, once we started feeding him, he got a spark in his eye, and he really perked up and showed some personality. So his teeth aren't great. His tongue was sticking out a lot. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about the fact that Anne? I've just as you were telling your story, I'm noticing your amazing crown that you have on. I believe, Anne, you are decked out because today is week 1 of Spooktoberfest with the Brother Sisters. Yes, those are in fact rubber duckies in jack-o'-lanterns, and you are also wearing your amazing Halloween T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, Spooktoberfest is upon us. Way to show those boobies right on. You're like, look at these.
My big old
Yes,
Mhm,
it is week 1 of a month-long Oktoberfest, Spooktoberfest, if you will.
mhm.
So we are doing our very first entry of Spooktoberfest this week, and it is, drum roll please. Wait, I'm adding it didn't add to the stage. Oh, I'm having trouble again.
Yep.
Hang on. There it goes.
Very slowly. Hey, there it is.
Yay! I know. Unfortunately, the place I'm staying does not have the greatest Wi-Fi on the planet. So if we drop out or I drop out, sorry. Anyway,
Mhm.
so
She'll be
yes,
back.
it is Spooktober. Huh?
I'm like, you'll be back.
I will be back. So it is spot. So we are doing our Spooktoberfest week 1. Today we're going to be doing some Stephen King work because it feels like you can't have a Spooktoberfest without Stephen King. So we'll be reviewing The Long Walk, which is a movie that's based on Stephen King's book, The Long Walk, and we will also be talking about other great Stephen King works. So yeah,
Mhm.
should we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, then let's get going. I'm going to get over here so we can do the stuff and bring us in.
All right. So we are Anne and Janice brothers. We are sisters, and our last name is Brothers. We are all treat. Well, mostly.
No trick, no trick. All
Yeah,
treat. Yes.
all treat. All treat. We're in our 50s, Gen X, which means some of our sweetest memories include station wagons.
Yes.
Mhm.
We had an Oldsmobile station wagon to start with. That thing was ugly as I don't know what Dad was thinking. That must have been a good deal because the color of that station wagon was ugly.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
baby poop brown.
so ugly. It had a baby poop faux leather interior. So
Yes. Yeah, it was one color. So
yeah, the whole thing.
yeah.
And then in 1987 we graduated to I believe it was the Chevy Celebrity station wagon. So
Yeah.
and that
So
was nicer. It was A better color, and B, it had cloth seats, not leather.
and air conditioning. So
Oh, that's right. God, that was nice. That was like living large in
exactly.
1987. So yeah,
Exactly. You
cool.
know, now they call what station wagons, now they call them crossover vehicles or something. But
Yes,
actually they're just beefed up station wagons. When I see them, I'm like, that's a station wagon. You can call it
you
something
can't fool
else,
me.
but I know what that is.
Yeah,
It's a station wagon.
and I've always felt that the station wagon has got a bad rap. My first car that I bought for my very self was a station wagon. It was a Ford Escort station wagon. Loved that car. Loved it.
Hmm.
So you can carry anything in the station wagon. Drop the seats, put long stuff in there. So great.
It's
Love me a
very
station wagon.
very
Yes,
convenient. So anyway,
very.
as you can see, we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, or any combination of the three. We are not cool, hip, or sexy, but we are divas. Yeah. We're not a true crime celebrity or influencer podcast. We are the trick or treat bag of podcasts right after trick or treating is finished. So this podcast is full of sweet treats that seem like they will never end. Mhm.
Correct. Accurate.
Yes.
That's true.
Mhm. We've been told we're good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff and because we want to share our diva powers with you.
Diva powers. I don't, what are
Yes.
okay, what are diva powers? What are my diva powers?
I don't know. I just assumed being me was a diva power, being
Yeah,
funny,
that's
um, not being worried about, stuff that we can't control, having fun, wanting other people to have fun, you know, all that good stuff.
I'm not gonna yuck your yum. I'm not gonna yuck your fun. So there you
Exactly.
go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We want to encourage you to have fun by hanging out with us because we're already having fun. So you might as well hang out with us because
correct.
we're fun. Anyway,
Correct.
those are some of our diva powers.
I mean,
We
for crying out
uh-huh,
loud. Look how fun I am. See?
exactly.
Balls. Okay, good. Sorry.
Old
Can't get away
balls.
from those.
I know. We've been told. Oh, This podcast is not GPG or even PG-13 because it's fucking Spooktober 2025, bitches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I started by swearing for this broadcast, so oops.
I did. Join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon Music. You can like us, follow us. You can hit that bell and leave us a review. Give us your feedback with our questions and answers and our polls. In fact, today, if you want to chime in with your favorite Stephen King book, please feel free to. And, hey, ask Alexa, not what her favorite Stephen King book is, but ask her to play us and she'll do it. And hell, she might have a favorite Stephen King book and play that for you. Who knows?
I feel like the next Stephen King book is going to be how Alexa goes bad and starts murdering us all.
Something like that, or becomes a detective and finds all the murderers.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
Yeah, I know, me too. Alexa, badass.
Good job, Alexa. And don't forget, you guys, you can support us for absolutely free. All you have to do is like, follow, subscribe, leave a review. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and you should tell all of your friends and family. Share the love, share the divaness, share the candy. Well, I guess we don't really have candy, but we have candy, but not for you. Sorry. So that's all right. All right, Ann, let's talk about our smart, dumb, and fun stuff this week. You go first.
Well, I'm on the diva kick right now because one of my, I was talking with two of my Gen Z coworkers, and they were talking about digital cameras. I guess Gen Zs love digital cameras. And they're like, Ann, do you have a digital camera? And I'm like, I still do. It's in a drawer somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, I got a digital camera. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm old. And one of them says, oh, Ann, you're not old. You're a diva. And I was like, thanks. So my Gen Z coworkers think I'm a diva. So that is, who has a digital camera still.
Somewhere. I have a digital camera as well somewhere.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, like 20 years ago, your digital camera was the height of technology. So
it was.
Look at me. I've got a digital camera. I don't have to wind this bitch with film. I don't have to put film in it because it's got a little thingy. So
yeah.
I can never get the pictures out of the camera, but they're in there in this little chip, that I don't know what to do with.
Exactly. So I'm sure it still has some pictures on it. So,
probably.
hilarious.
Anyway, so I love that. So yeah, as you can see, and I have a bunch of stuff. I've had a full week. It's been a pretty, like I said, it's been exhausting, but that's okay. I got to granddaughter this week, which is outstanding. I've named her the Ginger Bear because she's got like little red hair and she is just the cute as can be. So yeah, she's awesome. Her name's Lucy. She's great. She's so nice. She's not super fussy. She doesn't cry all the time. She just really likes to eat and sleep, and we're gonna get along just fine. The other really good thing this week that I got to go to Casa Bonita. I got to go back to the Casa Bonita, and I got to see it. It has been restored to its former glory by Trey Stone and Matt Parker. Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I don't know. The two guys that do South Park. They're Colorado guys. They featured Casa Bonita in one of their episodes a bazillion years ago. And look at you. Nancy is with us. Nancy Garman is with us. I'm watching the Lions. I plan on watching later. That's awesome. Go Lions. They better win today. They can't be losing to it that sucks like Cincinnati. So anyway, thank you, Nancy. We love you. So I got to go to Casa. So, okay, for those of you that don't know what Casa Bonita is, you can see a picture of it here. It's the greatest restaurant ever. Opened in 1973, which is when Ann and I started going to this place. I think we lived out here in like 74 or 75, and it was just the most fun place ever. And it just spent years deteriorating and becoming sort of kind of a running joke and really terrible. But the guys from South Park bought it and completely restored it. Literally dropped like $20 million to restore this place. They thought maybe a couple of million would do it. No, because this place was, I don't know how it didn't burn down years ago, but it didn't.
Amazing. So, or get shut down. Damn.
Oh yeah. This place was basically, I don't know. Whoever owned this place must have known every inspector in Denver because as far as I know, this place was literally a fire hazard, workers' comp hazard. But anyway, these guys got a hold of it. They dropped a ton of money of it, and they have A, fully restored it, B, hired an executive chef. So the food is actually amazing. That was always one of the running jokes with Casa Bonita, is that it was this cafeteria style Mexican food that was god awful. But you could get all you can eat. The sopapillas were really good, and the margaritas were pretty good. So
Uh-huh.
all of that is there's no more cafeteria style line. It's like real dining. You really only have they have a limited menu that you order from. It's outrageously expensive, and you can still get really great. They have a really good bar. Whoever their executive chef has done a really great job making the menu. Everybody was raving about the food because it was so good. And like I said, everything they have restored, the place was as exciting. I mean, we went at 12 o'clock on a Friday. And back in the old days, when you would go on a weekday, there was practically nobody in there. There was practically nobody working there. Everything would be kind of shut down. It felt like a ghost town. Not anymore. The place was vibrant. It was packed. It was fully staffed. They had everything going on. They had puppet shows. They had cliff divers. They had the guys doing the face painting. They had the guys doing the caricatures. And so they had it all. It was fun to see this place restored to its former glory. I hope they can keep it up. Like I said, it was packed at noon. You still can't get a reservation, so we got really lucky.
Mhm.
And then the not so smart dumb. This is the dumb thing this week. The dumb thing this week is that I had to put my cat Betty down this week, and I huge shout out to my parents because I was in Colorado. I couldn't do it. They did it. Um, she's been sick for a while. We were kind of hoping that she would hang out a little bit longer, but Friday came and it just wasn't going to happen. So, our vet was so great about letting my folks come in. And so anyway, the greatest cat who's ever lived is done with this life. And I hope if there is an afterlife, I hope she's loving it because she was literally the best kitty ever. You could attest to this, Ann Brothers.
I
So,
can. She was an
yeah.
amazing. I'm trying to like defend my cats, but mine right now is sleeping on the couch. And the other day, Cuckoo, my 17-pound cat, woke me up by sitting on my chest, meowing at me, and then bit my nose. So
Yeah.
those are my jerks.
And so I've got a picture of Betty here sitting on top of freshly folded laundry because that was her favorite. And she loved the tigers. And so there she is snuggling up next to my tiger's hat. And then, yeah, she's just a good kitty. I don't want to talk about it too much because it still makes me super sad and it makes me want to cry. So I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Like a good Gen Xer, we will not talk about things that make us cry. We will go cry under our bed and be respectful to everybody else. Nobody wants to see you sad. Don't make other people uncomfortable.
That's pretty much what I've done. So, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
All right, let's start. We went and saw this movie, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we are finally getting around to talking about it, which should tell you something about how the two of us felt about this movie if it's taken us 3 weeks to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
How much time do we want to spend on this movie review, Ann Brothers?
This much time. This much time.
Okay, I'll start.
Pretzelette amount of time.
Okay, we're going to talk this. We're going to give this movie the pretzelette amount of time. The Long Walk, basically, here's the premise. It's the future. America is basically post-apocalyptic. There's been some sort of war. Everybody's sad. Everybody's poor. And America holds this annual walk where you sign up and then if you get picked to be in it, basically the way it works is that in the book you have to walk once once the walk starts, you have to maintain a walking speed of 4 miles an hour. In the movie, they drop it down to 3 miles an hour, which is good because walking 4 miles an hour is rough. So 3 is a much more reasonable speed. Anyway, regardless of that, if you fall below that speed, you get 3 warnings, and if you get you don't get a 4th warning, you just get shot. That's how it works. So the last one standing is the winner, and they get money and whatever they want. And that's the premise. The book I can't even really say I liked the book. It's a great book, but it is an homage to suffering. And the book is, I read the book years and years ago, and then I read it again just earlier this year. And it's more relevant now than ever because of the world we live in and the America that we're currently living in, especially when it comes to how we treat the poor. and how hard it is to make a living, find a place to live, and be able to live any sort of American dream without having to work 6 jobs to do it. So this book is still really relevant. The movie doesn't capture any of that, and they changed the ending.
Hmm.
Yeah, it sucks. I hated it. So,
Yeah.
and the thing that drives me nuts about this is that I keep hearing how great this movie is. I'm like, no, it's not. It sucked. So, and now you.
It's, basically, Stephen King wrote this story in the 70s. It was published in 1979, but he wrote it in the 70s when Vietnam was still a very present idea, a lot of questioning as to why we got into it, why we didn't win this war. So basically, The Long Walk, the book, is an allegory for war. There's this pseudo glory in being in this race. There's the sacrifice of young men. You have to be a teenage boy to be in this race. Nobody's over 18. There's this idea of what is true masculinity, that they are somehow masculine and brave men for doing this. There's a theatrical horror and glory associated with this race. And basically it boils down to, like war, bloody, pointless death. And so it's basically the sacrifice. In the book, it's a sacrifice of 99 boys. And you think, well, one of them wins. Well, he doesn't really win. He just doesn't have to walk anymore. He's broken, completely broken. And that's the other thing you think about, like if this was happening now, where would the sponsors be? There'd be a bunch of sponsors. Yeah. And they'd be parading a winner around, but there's no winner to parade around because the winner is so broken after it's done. You could only get young men to do this. You could only get boys to do this and think that it was a good idea. If you haven't read the book, it's not a bad movie. If you have read the book, it sucks. And I hadn't read the book in a really long time. And so I was, the movie was okay. I was mad about the ending being changed. I re-listened to it this last week on my Audible, and I was like, no, this movie sucked. And for one thing, Stephen King writes. His characters are the most important thing. What his characters are thinking, and the book is written. We are in the main character, Raymond Garrity. We're in his head for this entire race. He's the one that tells the story. We know what's in his head. There's no way a film can describe this, can depict this. The pain, the suffering, the slow madness that overtakes them all as they do this. And a film can't cover that, can't do it. I will give a shout out to Mark Hamill, who plays the major. I think in the movie he's the general. He was awesome. If anybody was able to capture the mood of the book, it was the character that he played. So shout out to him. If you want to see him do a fantastic performance, and all the kids that were in this movie did a really good job. It just this book is too hard to make into a movie, and they shouldn't have done it.
No, and even Joe, who's not my husband, who hasn't read the book, hated the movie. He hated it. And it is one of those things where it's monotonous, it's boring. And again, any humanity that you might feel, it just never comes across. I called it The Long Walk Light because that's what it is. It's no fault of anybody's. It's such a dark and deep and personal story that you can't possibly capture that. So, I don't even know if I would tell people to read the book. It did not make my top lists for Stephen King, and it's because it's so fucking hard to get through, because it's endless suffering from the second they start the walk to the second the story ends. The story literally ends at the end of the walk. And it's a little bit open to interpretation about what's happening at the end of the book, but it's not great. It ain't good.
There can be no happy ending. Just know if you want to get into this book, there's no redemption, there's no hope, there is no happy ending. That's all.
All you know is that next year there will be 100 more boys. That's all you know at the end of that book. So,
and not just 100 boys, but 1 million boys trying to get into a race that they whittle down to 100.
Correct.
So
So that's the only thing you know is that nothing will change. This is going to keep happening. So
yeah,
so
exactly.
fun.
So fun.
Put in a
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't go see the movie.
don't
Don't
go
read
see
the
the
book.
movie. Go
It's
read.
gonna
If
be
you must
okay.
know the story, read the book.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oof. Anyway, so like I said, it's October, which means it's Spooktoberfest for the brother sisters, which
mhm,
means we're just talking about Stephen King. We got the review out of the way. Good job. Now let's talk
uh-huh.
about Stephen King's books. Um, yeah, his
Yeah.
stories are violent with violent themes.
Yeah, just so
Yay.
you know, spoiler alert, we may talk about some endings in these books. And also all of Stephen King's books deal with violent themes. It's just, some of it is horror, some of it is thriller, some of it is mystery, but it's all violence. And usually the monsters in the books are not usually the biggest monsters. So,
Yeah, if you've read enough of his books, and I've read a lot, and I guess I didn't know this. I didn't realize he's written 77. He has 77 works that he has either written or has been part of some sort of collaboration.
hmm,
So this is a man who is he was born to write, and
yeah.
the stuff that he writes is complex, and
Mhm.
sometimes he hits really well, and sometimes he misses, but this dude writes and writes and writes. He's like Hamilton, that's what he does. He
Yeah.
writes, and for some reason, he has managed to just tap into humanity, both the good and the bad, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised that when Stephen King finally leaves this earth, they'll still have 20 books that need to be published. We'll be reading Stephen King decades after new books of his after he has died, because I bet there's 20 in a safe somewhere, 21,
Absolutely, he's like,
22.
yeah, it's like after they, after Prince died, and they opened up his stuff. He had thousands of songs that
Yeah.
never got released that he just was messing around with. I'm like, yeah. So all right, so these are Ann and I each came up with our list of the 5 best Stephen King books so far. This is of
Mhm.
course open to interpretation. If you would like to chime in and give us your favorites and why, absolutely. So Ann, we're going to start with you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. So number five.
Okay, there you are.
Number five is Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. This is actually a novella, so it's not a full novel. And you may have seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption. This is one of the few books of his that actually made a really good movie because it's narrated. It's
Yeah.
narrated, and so the storyteller is telling you. You know what he's thinking, and you know what he's doing, and it worked out really well for this. It was published in 1982. It's the story about Andy Dufresne, who is wrongly convicted of murdering his wife, and the 30 years he spends in Shawshank Redemption, the relationships he builds. This is a very hopeful book.
Yeah.
The long walk has no hope. This is all hope. This is hope. It's the long game. It's finding joy, even if you're accused of murder and sitting in prison for the rest of your life. It's about determination. So it's a very hopeful, joyous, beautiful book, and reminding us that you are not just your worst mistake. So,
Yeah.
which is a hard lesson for us to learn. So, I tell people who've never read Stephen King, start with this book.
That's a
After it,
great one.
you will be a fan.
And it's so incredibly well written. If you want to, I mean, there's no doubt of the soul. I believe Stephen King is the greatest American living writer in the last century. I know people look
Mhm.
at me sideways when I say that, but I'll stand by that statement. And this is one of those books that that proves that I'm right when I make the statement.
Yeah,
So, all
yeah.
right. So I went with Different Seasons, and as it would happen, Different Seasons is actually the anthology that has Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption in it. But this anthology has 4 great stories in it. It has the breathing method, it has apt pupil, it has the body. The body, of course, was adapted for screen to be Stand By Me, and apt pupil is a very dark story about a kid that figures out that an old man is actually a former SS officer in a concentration camp, and he gets played by this old man. And oh, that story is one of those that it keeps you up at night. Don't ever read that story when you're in a sad mood or it's dark. Don't do that.
Mhm. Yeah, and
because, but that's
the
it's
body. I was going to say, and the body, Stand by Me, is another one of those really good movies that managed, again, narrator.
narrated. Yeah. Yeah, and so I think that's one of his I just think it's this really kind of overlooked Stephen King works that has some really good stories. You know, Shawshank Redemption gets all the press, but there's four really good stories in that particular collection.
Very
All right,
true.
Anne, you ready for number four?
I'm ready for number four. My number four is The Stand. This was the first Stephen King book that I read that I was like, damn, this man could write. And this is a thick, chunky book, man. They should have sold it by the pound. It's like 1,000 pages. Uh, the first time, if you're reading this book and the first time you hear somebody cough, you will tighten up. It's a world. It's a world that's been devastated by a bioengineered superflu. So only about 10% of the world's humanity survives. And then they kind of break up into two groups, the good and the evil, and kind of fight as to where humanity will go from this point. Again, it's a very hopeful book. How would we remake the world? I am not sure that good would win. It's very Old Testament. We have a very Old Testament God in this book, and he demands blood. He demands sacrifice. And there's plenty of, and again, Stephen King's not afraid to kill off a main character. So just so you know.
Yeah, and this was one of the first books that I was like, whoa, the main characters can die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. You know, I think I was like
Hmm.
21 when I read this. So I was like, after this, I was like, I must read all of Stephen King's books because the only one I'd read before this was Pet Cemetery, and I was like, I don't get this. This is a terrible book. But then I read The
It's a
Stand
bad
because
book.
it had just come out in its big edition. Because the first edition, which was published in 1978, was like they thought that Americans wouldn't read a big book, and then they republished the uncut edition in 1990, and they found out, oh, hey, Americans will read long books. So thank you for doing that because it is. So if you read this, make sure you get the 1990 published version. There's still some like early editions floating out there, but make sure you get the big, thick, chunky one because it's a yummy, yummy book.
With the unabridged, uncut, whatever. So, all right. So for me, my number four was The Shining, and everybody, this book gets a lot of attention because of the Stanley Kubrick, Jack Nicholson movie version of this that came out in what 1980, 79, 80. I can't remember what year it came out, but it really doesn't. That movie doesn't really match the book, other than the fact that he's at the Overlook
Overlook.
Hotel in. Yeah. But other than that, The Shining, the book is so good. It's great story. Again, tight,
Mhm.
genuinely scary. There are things in there that will like give you the willies for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, really liked it. I didn't, and the thing is, I was late. I didn't read this book till about 5 years ago, and then when I did, I was like, dude, I'm so glad I did because it was so good. And part of the reason I never read it is because I hated the movie so much. I'm like, I'm not gonna like this is probably gonna be just as bad as the movie. And I know that's not a popular take because The Shining is considered one of the best horror movies ever made. I talk about that when we talk about honorable mention and stuff. That I
Mhm.
think the movie's overrated, and
I
you know,
100% think it's overrated. One
yeah.
bazillion percent overrated. You want to be
And Stephen
fucked
King
up?
was not
Book.
read the book. And Stephen King was not a fan of that adaptation of it, and I get it because it's not true to his work, and
Mhm.
his work is better than what we end up with on screen. So
Yeah.
I think The Shining is great. I highly recommend. I have not read the sequels to The Shining. All in good time. So
Mhm.
Anne is giving me that not so much sort of symbol. That's
Mhm.
fair. So
Yeah.
yeah, my number four is The Shining. All right, Anne, here's your
Mhm.
number three.
My number three is Carrie. And this is this first book that was published in 1974. And this is when I learned that Stephen King knew how to write women. And that's because he wasn't writing women from a male perspective. This is what I want women. If I'm a man, this is how I want women to talk. I want women to say this and think this and do this from a male perspective. He writes women based on them being human beings, which is crazy, right? But man, did
What?
I those
Come on now.
I know, because when you think about the movie Carrie, what you think about is this victim covered in pig's blood. But damn, this book is about fucking revenge. So we got this shy kinetic teenager named Carrie White, who's been tormented by her very religious mother and her asshole classmates. And it finally builds to a peak. And when it does, this movie is not hopeful. All hope is gone. She is, a strong, we find out how strong Carrie really be. And it's about revenge and kicking ass. And man, I loved her. And, we don't really know what happens to Carrie in the end. But you know what? I hope she's living her best fucking life. So there you go. First book, I was like,
Carrie.
it was the first, and I have to admit, I read this fairly when I was fairly young, and I had not experienced a book with such a strong, awesome female character, and that's really sad, So yeah, the first, awesome, really cool character I met as a woman, Stephen King, Miss Carrie. So you kill him, Carrie, you kill him.
And she does.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for me, my number 3 is The Green Mile. And one of the reasons I liked this book is he did something novel back in the late 90s when he released this book. He released it Dickens style. So he released it essentially a chapter at a time. And so, it was a brilliant marketing ploy, and it was kind of annoying, but it was also kind of fun because like, oh, it's it's October, it's time for this chapter. I'm like, oh gosh, it's almost November 1st, it's time for a new chapter. So I really liked it. I don't think you can buy it in that you have to buy it as a single copy now, but back in the day, that was the big thing, was that The Green Mile was released like Dickens used to release his in episodes. And so I really thought that was a lot of fun. I liked that, and I just think it's a great story. It's in when you see the movie, that's what most people are only familiar with the movie Green Mile. They focus a lot on the past, where what I really like about the book is that they focus a lot on him as an old man, and we learn his story, what happened to him, what happened to his wife, and it's just the end is I cry and cry and cry at the end of that book because it's so beautiful and sad. And it's this story again about the things that happen to us and the choices that we make and what it means for us in the long run. So yeah, I think that book covers a lot of territory, and it's again this really great, very well written, beautiful story that I don't know if hopeful is the word for it. I don't think this is a hopeful book. It's more about the terrible things that we do to each other and what that can do to good. Of course we know John Coffey, who is this really beautiful, good creature, and yeah, we did that.
We kill him. We kill him.
Kill him.
Because that's what we do.
So that's what we do. So huzzah!
Huzzah!
All right, you and number 2.
So my number 2 is one of his more recent books, and that is Sleeping Beauties. And he actually wrote this book with his son, Owen. So Owen and Stephen King wrote this book together. And I wasn't positive about buying this book because I was like, oh, this sounds like, I'm going to help my son here write a book. But damn, if this isn't one of my favorite books. So the women of the world start falling into sleep. They fall into this deep sleep and then are cocooned, and nobody can wake them up. Well, you can wake them up, but when you wake them up, they become homicidal murderers, murder whoever woke them up, and then they go back to sleep into their cocoon. So men learn pretty quickly, don't wake them up. So we have this world with, when the women do in their dream world, they wake up into a world about 20 years later to a time and place that seems to be abandoned, and they build a society. All the women build a society. Meanwhile, in the present, the men are without women, and you know what? They don't handle it well. This movie is hopeful, I guess. It's about revenge. It's about actions having consequences. It's about feelings not being facts. And this book made me angry cry. I mean, when the women of this new world make a decision, man, I put the book down and I just cry. Angry snot rolling down my face, furious crying at the decision they made. And I've read this book a number of times. It's such a good story. Again, Stephen King knows how to write women. Why? Because he writes them like human beings, with their flaws and their unsexiness and their, righteous indignation, whatever. He makes them human beings. And damn if I didn't want them to make a totally different choice.
Book for a month after that. I couldn't pick it up for a month. I was so I felt so hopeless after that. I'm like, and the reason I felt hopeless about it is that that's what women do. There was no doubt in my mind that that's the choice that they were going to make because that's what women do.
Right.
And it just fucking pisses me off so much.
It pissed me off. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, despite all of this evidence that this is a much better place and that you will have a much better life here.
Yeah.
Nerd rage.
Nerd rage.
Yeah, and honestly, that should be in my top 5. And I just couldn't put it there because I'm still mad. And I'm not mad at Stephen King. I'm mad at those women.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was like, I haven't had a book make me angry cry in such a long time. I mean, like since Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison would make me angry cry. But this book made me, and I was like, I even when I get to that part on the third reading, I'm just like, I know, and I'm still, man, it's a really good book though. If you want a really intriguing story.
Well, and one of the things I love about, there's nothing, and this book really pissed off people. You should read the reviews of this book. They're brutal, and I think they're brutal because of the subject matter. The subject matter is, dude, this is the way we treat women. This is what we do to women. This is what women could do. But we're not going to let them. And that's,
bear versus man, Jenny. Bear versus man in the woods.
It's bear versus man, and I get why people didn't like this book, but I loved it. I thought it was great. It's one of my top. I didn't put it in the top 5 because I'm still mad, but it certainly belongs there, and it's definitely a mirror in terms of how men feel about women and how women feel about women. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. I haven't read something so ultra feminist since Margaret Atwood. So, that's
okay.
Yeah, it's right up there with like Handmaid's Tale and the Testaments. Yeah, it's right up there. So if you want to know about the world, read Sleeping Beauties. It's a hard book.
It's a hard book and it's, what? And here's the thing. It's even harder now when you look at what's happening in our country politically.
Yeah.
And if you think, women, talking to you, if you think that you're safe, you're not.
You're not. Bear. Pick the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick the bear. All right. For me, my number 2, Dolores Claiborne. And this was tough for me because this could easily be my number 1. So Dolores Claiborne, it is a story of a woman, Dolores Claiborne. It is the day that she is going to confess to killing her husband. And it's told in it's simply her telling her story. And it is one of, God damn, it's such a good book. It will give you all the feels. It's a story of, it's sad and it's honest. And it's about her and her relationship with her daughter and her relationship with her husband and her relationship for the woman that she cleans house for, which is the most important relationship in the entire book. And it will make you, I read it when I was in college. I think it was like middle 90s. And then I read it again just a couple of years ago. And as somebody reading that in my 50s, it hit hard. It hit so much harder than it did. And I loved this book when I was... Yeah, because all of a sudden, it's such a good story that you read it in your 20s and it's enjoyable and it's a great story and it gives you all the feels. But then when you read it again in your 50s, you're like, fuck me. Wow. And it's, and it is because it faces all these dark things that happen around her and also the darkness that we face as we get older. And that's, we all stare death in the face at all times. And this book forces you to face it again and again and again. So, yeah.
And also what happens if you won't if you won't help people.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to segue into this. I'm going to go ahead and put you in because we'll
Mhm.
just roll right into you because this was
Yeah.
your number one.
Yeah, Dolores Claiborne was my number one. This is another book I recommend to people when they tell me they don't like Stephen King or they've never read Stephen King because they don't like horror. Then I suggest this one. It's a thriller. It's again, Stephen King. He knows how to write women because he makes them human.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, they're humans.
Yeah.
So he makes this working class woman with an abusive husband and tells her story. She tells her story. You know what? One of the best parts for me, Jenny, was the vacuuming, when she talks about the
I
vacuuming.
know. I
And
love
she
that
talks
part.
about there's three people interviewing her for supposedly murdering her boss, and she talks about vacuuming and how she would turn on the vacuum and leave it running and then run upstairs to do something, and her boss figured out that she wasn't vacuuming, and the two men couldn't figure out why the woman could, how come, and the young woman in there's like, well, she didn't hear it moving, hear it going back and forth,
So it makes
she
a
didn't hear
noise. It makes a distinct noise as you run it back and forth across your car.
I was like,
And the two
well, hey,
men would have no idea.
they would have no idea because one was have they ever vacuumed, so it was just like that kind of stuff, that the minutia of a woman's life, a working woman's life. So it's a beautiful story. It gives you all the feels. It has a happy ending if you're like worried, if you need a little booster to get you through. It's one of his best written stories. There's a movie out there. It's terrible because again, it's all about Dolores telling her story, and it just doesn't capture
And
it.
the story is detailed because she doesn't just she tells many stories as she's telling her story, as she's talking to the police, as she's going through this interview. She takes us all over her stories, and it's brilliant.
It is
it's
brilliant.
good.
Such a good book. So if you're not I don't read Stephen King because I don't read horror. Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption and Dolores Claiborne. You will be a fan after you read those two books.
Well,
and,
it's yeah, exactly. Well, and it's so easy to just classify. It's not that Stephen King is a horror writer. He writes scary stories. And those stories are they're horrible because a lot of them are, like you said earlier, they're about humans. The boogeyman, and I would say almost all of his stories are humans. There are some supernatural stories, the it's that are out there. There are some supernatural elements to many of his stories, but ultimately the bad guy and the monsters in his story are humans. And even in a story like It, you have this monster that's running around killing children. There are still plenty of other monsters who are humans in these stories. So yeah, so great.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Nothing. I was just gonna say, my number one is The Stand. So your number four is my number one. I was at a grocery store and I had an armful of stuff. And again, this was like in 90, 91 somewhere. And I see a copy of The Stand. And I was like, what's that all about? So I'm sitting here and I read the first page. And the first page was so great that I was like, close it and I put it on the cart and I read that story. I could not put it down. Every break, so I was working at Consumers Energy at this point. I was working summers at Consumers in their compressor station, and you have all these these bros there that are a bunch of jarheads that are there, and there I am, the one woman in the room reading my book. So, uh, like you said earlier, this book will mess you up for pandemics. It will mess you up for men. It will mess you up for religion. And it will, when you look at the way things are in America right now, and you have this split between good and evil, it's not surprising that the evil side, and I'm not, we got everything up and running quickly, organized. They know what to do. They have the skills. And I'm not saying that that's kind of the way things are right now, but that's what I'm saying. That
I was like, yeah.
If you come down to it, when it comes to liberal and conservative ideas and the way it just kind of hashes itself out, there's a lot more practically skilled people on on the right side versus the left side. And I know that's stereotypic and probably unfair, but I'm not wrong either. And So it has occurred to me on more than one occasion as I'm watching all this. I'm like, I wonder if we're going to end up at the stand, except without the pandemic.
I don't know, Jenny. We could definitely have a pandemic. We could definitely have another one. So
Yeah, oh, definitely. Oh gosh, it's not just we could. It's very
okay,
likely, but yeah, I just this book is an epic journey of, and there's so many interesting things that happen in this book, and it's so scary. There is a monster in this book, of course, Randall Flagg, but again, he's not the only monster. There are so many
okay.
monsters to choose from, and it really does make you wonder. This was the first book that made me doubt that I ever wanted to survive a global pandemic. You
Me
know,
too.
this was the
Me too.
first book that I'm like, oh, maybe it would just be better to get sick and die, because it's the hard work comes after, you
Hmm.
know, because the
The,
way this is broken down, we meet the essentially the alpha vectors right off the bat. They run for it. They start getting these people sick in Texas, and then you read about the spread of it, and then you read about the immediate aftermath, and then you read about the two camps that are getting to their various places. And it's a journey. It's an epic story.
honestly, I don't think the pandemic. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. This is a 1,000-page book, and I don't think the pandemic takes 100 pages. It probably takes 70.
Doesn't
Yeah.
Nope.
So the
Yeah, he
pandemic is the
doesn't.
first monster, and then it's after that it's just us
It's just us being monsters.
being monsters.
And
Yeah.
the scene that's the worst for me is the scene where Stu's group is attacked by the guys that have their own little traveling harem. That's the
Hmm.
scene that really was like, oh fuck. That was the
Yeah.
scene that really made me feel for the first time what the world, I read this book when I was maybe 20, and I didn't
Hmm.
really understand the way the world is, especially when it comes to how women are used in war. And I was
Commodity.
like, oh, as a commodity, as something to be
Hmm.
sold, as something to be traded. And I was just like, oh, oh shit. So
Yeah.
that was a real eye opener for me when I was young. And I've read this book probably 3 or 4 times.
Hmm.
And I go back to it from time to time. And it is a reminder of how the center, when things really get bad, and we sort of saw that during our tiny little starter pandemic, is how quickly the center starts to give way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
we
there you
just,
go.
yeah. I mean, the toilet paper situation was the first thing you're like, okay, yeah, the center won't hold. If we're fighting over fucking toilet paper, if things get real bad.
Yeah. So there you go, everybody.
Okay.
Good books. I do have a few, honorable mentions. My honorable
Yep.
mentions include Gerald's Game, Needful Things, and Misery. There's actually a very good movie. Misery is actually quite a good movie. And
It
so there you
is.
go. Jenny, your honorable mentions?
I went with Night Shift, which is one of his anthologies. Some great
Mhm.
stories in there. Two of my favorites out of that are Jerusalem's Lot and Strawberry Spring. Two
Yeah.
fantastic stories. Needful Things is a great book. Sleeping Beauties is in there. Under the Dome, Dead Zone, Misery, Bag of Bones are books of his that I've really liked.
Yeah.
So, and
I
like
think about
books
Bags of
like
Bones.
say again.
I said I think about Bag of Bones all the time. That comes back to me quite often.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's a really beautiful love story, and it's so fucking sad, but it's a great love story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time, so we're kind of pushing forward through. So as you have mentioned, Anne, there are not a lot of good, what I would call Stephen King movie or TV adaptations. These are ones that are either really good or pretty good. So, like for instance, Shawshank Redemption is the seminal best of as
Hmm.
far as Stephen King adaptations that have made fantastic movies. In fact, Shawshank Redemption might be the best movie ever. It
Hmm.
might be. I don't know. It's not. It's the top movie on a lot of lists.
Right.
The Monkey, I have not seen this, and you mentioned it as being worthwhile.
Oh my God, Jenny, it's so funny and so outrageous and extreme.
Yeah,
And it is better than this book. It's better than the short story.
short story, which is Monkey Shines, is
Yeah.
Stephen King. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
The Green Mile, which is another great adaptation of Stephen King. Not as good as Shawshank Redemption, but pretty darn good. Very, very beautifully told and adapted. Even though it takes a lot of the really good stuff out of the story, you miss a lot. Read the book. Stand by Me, which is a great movie adapted from the body. Life of Chuck. I have not seen this, but according to our entertainment expert Chip Maley, this is a worthwhile watch. So I've heard really good things about this movie. Misery, which is put Kathy Bates on the map. It got her an Oscar, as it should have, because she was so fucking good in that movie.
Good.
Carrie, which we all know and love. Sissy Spacek's, one of her early works. And a movie that kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, is The Mist. Came out a few years ago. It's okay. Marcia Gay Harden she is fabulous in that movie. If you're going to see that movie, see it because of her. And there's some great special effects with all the spiders and shit that are pretty fun. So, but it's not great. It's okay. So there you go. All right. Whew, I could have talked about that probably for much longer. So, great job, everybody. Great job. Well done. You spent an hour with the brothers, sisters. Today, you learned things about stuff. Specifically, we gave you our review of the movie The Long Walk, and we gave you a review of our top 5 Stephen King books, Pipping, which we like very much. We also gave you our honorable mentions, and we talked a little bit about some pretty good or very good adaptations of Stephen King books that have become movies or TV series. None of The Stand, whether you talk about the 94 version or the version that came out a couple of years ago on Paramount, terrible. Don't watch either of them. They suck. Okay, so bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your opinions about what are the best Stephen King books. So please, you guys, answer our poll questions. Give us comments. We love to hear your questions, concerns, comments, and confessions. That's right. Join us next week. Oh, don't forget, you can leave a review. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We would love to hear your feedback. We would also love it if you shared our stuff with your friends, family, or people that annoy you. In case we annoy you, you can annoy them too. So there you go. And join us next week, you guys, because Spooktoberfest continues. That's right. Spooktoberfest continues, where next week we're going to give you our best of Halloween stuff lists. Things we really like, things that we've seen that are awesome, costumes, candy, jack-o'-lanterns, food, drinks, anything that's Halloween related. So, we want you to join us and do all that sort of good stuff. Do you hear that, Ann?
You do, Chinny Brothers.
Yep, that means it's time for us to get going. So, but don't panic. We'll be back. I am Janice Brothers, and with me is my sister.
Ann Brothers.
That's right. We want you to get out there, do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We're out of here.